Hello everyone. So today, 1st of March, the month of Ramadan started. The moon has been sighted, and so fasting has begun. So today is actually the first day of Ramadan. An announcement has come out in certain states in the northern part of Nigeria where they have said all schools are to be shut down. According to this circular that came out from Katsina State Hisba Board, it says public announcement. In accordance with the Katsina State government's directive, all private schools are required to close for the Ramadan period to allow pupils to fully observe the holy month. The directives include extra lessons, please. The Hisba board urges all school proprietors to strictly comply with this directive. Non-compliance will not be tolerated. May Allah accept our fast and grant us His blessings. And this is signed by Dr. Aminu Usman, Commander General. So for me, the first thing I'm looking at is what authority does Hisba have to be able to give out this issue this directive and insist that all schools, all private schools, everything will close down. That's number one. The second thing is that why are you closing down school? Because Ramadan is going to come. Ramadan is around, yes, and nobody says you can't go out and do whatever it is that you're doing in that month of Ramadan. In fact, it's even better for the kids to go to school, spend time there before they're coming back. It's almost time you're looking at towards breaking of fast, not stay all day at home, lying on the bed or doing what, or just doing nothing. I really don't understand it. And for me, I think it's a big failure of the Nigerian government. Nigeria is a secular state. It's not a religious state, and no one religion should supersede another religion in Nigeria. And everything about religion has to be done based on the people, and so it's more or less like a private affair, not something that is brought into that governance issue. So now you have children who are not fasting. They are not obliged to fast. They are not Muslims. They are now being forced to stay at home because there's a holiday that is coming on. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is not closing its schools. United Arab Emirates, they are not closing their schools. Countries where you have literally more than 99% indigene, you understand, being Muslims, are not closing down their schools. They are going on with them. They are not closing down their schools in the month of Ramadan. They are going on with their businesses. Then it is here in Nigeria that we are having this absurd, directives that are being put out here. And let me just go ahead and look at this tweet from our favorite online doc, and he says, just look at this. In Saudi Arabia, the holy land of Islam, the government is not closing schools for Ramadan. They only modify the school times so kids' education never suffers. But in Katsina, the government through Hisba is closing down schools. Religious stupidity, he says, on display. And here you have this Gulf News, from Gulf News, it says local education authorities mandated to determine school day timings in the holy month. And these are places where, and this was done as far back as February 14. So you determine the timings for the students so that they are not in school maybe at the time that the sun is very hot, especially in places like the Saudi and Co, where they have very extreme weather and all of that. And and here we have Cairo. It says education authorities, I think the report is maybe coming from Cairo or something. I don't know why Cairo is there. It says education authorities in Saudi Arabia have started setting timetables for the school day during the Islamic month of Ramadan, expected to begin this year on March 1st, depending on sighting of the crescent. The fasting month of Ramadan this year coincides with the start of the third semester of the current academic year in the kingdom. The semester begins on March 2nd for morning and evening schools, as well as continuing education institutions in all government and private schools. Muslims abstain from eating and drinking from dawn to dusk daily during Ramadan. The Saudi Ministry of Education has mandated education directors in regions and governorates across the country to determine the start time of the school day in coordination with relevant local authorities. Some education authorities have already announced the start of the school day. For example, the education authorities in the holy city of Mecca have set the start time for the school day during the month of Ramadan as follows. The school day for morning school is to begin at 9 a.m., evening schools at 1 p.m., and continuing education schools at 9:30 p.m. In Medina, another holy Saudi city, the Education Directorate has set the start time for the first classes of the day during the Ramadan at 9:30 a.m. in all boys and girls schools and its affiliated offices. In Ramadan, Muslims from inside and outside Saudi Arabia head in large numbers to the Grand Mosque, Islam's holiest in Mecca, to perform the Umrah or minor pilgrimage and offer prayers. The month usually marks the peak of the Umrah season. And then you have Hisbah just coming down here to shut down the school. There is an argument. Okay, so I'm just gonna take this one. I'll just hold up at a moment. There's an argument that I just saw, earlier on, where someone was actually saying that I don't know if I've missed it. I'm just trying to quickly go back to it. Sometimes you have a lot of reports that are coming in. Okay, I've seen it. He said, this is Abdullahi Buhari says, most of the Nigerian school vacation systems were built around Christian missionaries' holidays. Christmas, which is the end of first term, the end of first term is usually around Christmas period, Easter, second term. But it only becomes an issue when a community does it around Ramadan. So I've seen this argument before. I remember when I think I was the vice president of the Parents Teachers Association of was Essence International School in Kaduna. My kids were in the school there, and this argument came during Ramadan. Some parents complaining of the fact that why are students, they are writing exams or they are having schools and whatever. And I said, look, we need to be pragmatic. First of all, the Islamic calendar is not static. It's not static like the Gregorian calendar. It keeps moving, so you cannot base the terms of school in that particular way. For example, you could have let me just give an example. Like 23 years ago, I gave birth to my daughter during the month of Ramadan, on the 21st day of Ramadan, and that was December 6th, 2011. And this thing has gone all the way. Currently, Ramadan is now in the month of March. Maybe in the next like 10 years or something, it will move down to December. So you see, it keeps changing. You can have Ramadan during cold, wet, and everything. So you can't gauge the school system, around that. And there's nothing wrong with going to school. That you're fasting doesn't mean that you're incapacitated. I mean that's part of the things, that the resilience that fasting builds, because it's teaching you that there are people who are having to do their normal day-to-day activity, and why they are hungry. So it's teaching you to understand what is it to have empathy and sympathy for people who are less privileged, who are having, to fast in the month of Ramadan. So this absolutely really doesn't make sense. And then there's another thing here also, that is coming out from Sahara Reporters, and it says something about the states. I think there are 4 states now that have closed down their schools. 4 northern states closing down schools for Ramadan have 44% out of school to kids above national average, and these are states that are battling poverty, underdevelopment, terrorism, insecurity, crime, a whole lot of things. It's not as if other states are not battling them, but their own is worse, and yet they're doing more and more things that will continue, to impoverish the society. It's just unbelievable. But as far as I'm concerned, at the end of the day, I'm going to put it down to the failure of the Nigerian government. Thank you.